So Tim has been asking his subs to mass report channels that he is deeming as copying his content. And what I think he means by copying his content are channels such as my own, probably Zachary Michaels, even Buckeye Gordon now, who are, and Darling even uses occasionally, not really, because I think that's how they're kind of getting Tim probably more annoyed. But I think the reaction channels, I think that he thinks we're copying his content, and we should not be doing that. And so he's asking his subs to report all of us who come up in their recommended feeds, and it's actually against YouTube's terms of service. And I don't know if Tim's aware of that, but it is, Tim. And so I would just, say to be cautioned. I know you're upset because my channel strikes were removed. You did not take legal action toward me outside of YouTube to say that you have copyrighted material that I am not allowed to use under fair use and able to make reactions and criticism and make my commentary around. So let's just get my fair use out since I actually mentioned that. So here we are. Here's my fair use. And obviously everybody, knows that this video is for entertainment purposes only. And obviously these are just my opinions. This is my commentary. I might get a little ranty, some sarcasm. People are saying I'm the queen of mean, but that's okay. I don't think I am. Call out somebody who's like not a good person. And if you are feeling like it wasn't fair that Tim was channel striking people or asking his subscribers to mass report other channels that make reaction, then I do ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to mine. It'll help me get back up the algorithm too, because obviously everything that's engagement helps us who try to show that Tim is potentially a problematic character and is using the platform not just, I have my buy me a coffees. I'm going back to introducing some simple channel memberships, just one level. And it's really just to show support around the channel because I am trying to increase content. I'm always interested if you have seen another type of creator that you think is similar to how Tim is manipulating their audience, then I'm always happy to make reactions and maybe we can see if that's somebody interesting to introduce into the community. But I know that people do come to me to watch my reactions about Tim. And so let's make sure we get to this one. And I was going to actually react to this one yesterday, but I didn't ended up deciding to react on the one with the work history because it's so much of Tim's lore. But this one is an important one to react to because of how he is violating YouTube's terms of service. So let's just get into it. I've sped him up to 1.5. Let's make this one quick, Tim.
Sarasota Tim. How's it going? 111,000. Hey, listen, time for me to beg. Please subscribe to the channel. Check your subscription if you are already watching my videos, that you are subscribed. I've got a goal in 2025 to reach 100,000 and get the big time.
I know it looks like you lost 100 subs recently, Tim. Is that because the time that you... There's all sorts of alleged rumors that Tim potentially is purchasing his subscribers. And for those of you who also click off quick in these videos, Tim calls somebody a jerk. And I think the jerk is me. I think that I am the jerk. Oh, I was going to make me small. Hold on. I think I'm the jerk that Tim is referring to. Okay, we're back. It's only 5 seconds in. Okay, let's go, Tim.
Play button accolade from YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, clicking that subscribe button. And
I cannot understand how a 66-year-old man so desperately needs a YouTube play button. Some people are thinking that that goal might be moved, Tim, because it's so easy for some channels to reach 100,000. Dr. Ed Weir, who is an expert on social security, has 324,000 subscribers. My channel doesn't get anything. I mean, I've obviously, not really spoken because I haven't finished school. So I try not to really use anything around my interest in psychiatry. And I'm not a psychologist, so it's a little bit different. But I obviously could talk around Tim's substance use disorders from the past and whether or not those were things that were interrupting his life? Were they the reasons why he didn't want to work a full week? I mean, what was happening with Tim?
I really appreciate it.
In my opinion.
We're heading over to the gym. We're going to get a little pump on, and then we're going to walk. I'm not sure I'm going to walk first or pump up first. I really do need to walk because I don't think I walked yesterday. I'm hungry, and it's already 5, and it's going to be late tonight by the time I get back to do fireside chat or evening chat.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, the audience has just waited on bated breath for you to bring out that fireside chat, Tim.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I just left the car wash, getting the CC rider all cleaned up. I got the tire dressing on the tires. I just came off the freeway there. She is a freeway flyer. This thing really gets it nice and smooth. And I got my little.
Look at him sitting there with his Trump lanyard. Oh, Tim. He just loved to win. He's fully swallowed the red pill.
Steering handle, suicide knob back on the wheel, the maps and apps and my name, my profile, everything is reset up on the infotainment center. I am the owner. I had it all completely reset back to default and parked and ready for a new owner. But
you don't have like a sun visor in the car? Why are you doing this with your hand? You got oh, Tim.
Since decided to keep the car. Of course, everything is for sale at the right price, but I really do enjoy it. So it's all set back up again. I got a couple for sale signs in the back window because, I haven't, I'll sell it if somebody wants to buy it, but they're not going to, steal it. I was literally giving it away. Thank God nobody took advantage of the low price I put on it. I was down to $34,999. I wouldn't take that for it now. No. So, and whether you think it's worth it or not, that's up to you. But everything.
I think that's still over the price that was like the price for that vehicle in that area of Florida. I think the top end was like 33 and potentially was like your model. So you still were asking for almost $2,000 more.
Thing is worth what somebody will pay for it. And when you think about how much cars cost, new cars, anything under $40,000, you're not going to find a high quality, Honda that's loaded like this. So I think it's a great value. Also, Donald Trump is going.
I personally don't like sedans. I don't like to be low. There's so many big trucks here in Virginia. So I personally don't like to be that low in a car. Tim, you're still trying to sell this vehicle. The other day you were trying to say that this was your car. I think he really still wants to unload this vehicle, but he doesn't want to make a loss. I don't understand where you think the car is the investment tool. I just think that it's not, and he's just, and he's being a snob about cars too, Tim. Like he's just, he's so gosh.
Going to get interest rates down and low fuel prices very soon. We're going to probably see. Everybody says that he can't do something. Let me tell you, hogwash. That guy can do whatever he wants to do, and what he's doing is exactly what he said he was going to do. Not wait 6 months or 6 days or even 6 hours. That guy is on the job.
All right, Tim, you remind me of the uncle I don't want to have over at my mom's house for Christmas.
And if you don't fall in line, I'm talking about leaders of other countries.
Can you imagine what he was like when he
government, except Democrats, they're going to fight him tooth and nail. We know that. But Republicans are going to all join together and do what he thinks is right. Now,
Tim, this rhetoric is so fracturing for the country. But, if that's what you want to die on the hill on your channel, then, go ahead. If it's a political channel, I hope you're marking it that way. But I'm just,
everything he wants to do, I think, is good. A couple of things he said through executive order, he's going to have to get, he's already got a couple of lawsuits where a judge blocked a couple of things.
Okay.
So he's going to have to go to a higher
really
court.
Don't care about that part.
And the pride, you can sense the support.
Okay.
And we all know what happened during the election.
Okay.
And knock out some weight, get my pump on.
Okay, pump on.
And then I'll go to the house.
Tim, nobody would ever say, get your pump on. Nobody. I have a lot of friends that, are avid gym goers and never pump on. Who would ever say that? They just say they're going to work out. What are you talking about, Tim?
Get my eat on. And it's going to be kind of chilly again tonight, so I might just do an evening chat with you later on. We'll talk about something, probably Donald Trump. And I'm just stoked, folks. I'm just stoked. Stoked about life.
Okay.
I'm stoked about, getting in.
No, you're not that stoked, because in about 2 seconds, you're not going to be very stoked at all. And I promise you, I'm going to be a little pebble in your shoe, Tim.
Shape. Where I live in Florida, what I live in, what I drive, the Lord that's in my life.
What are you living in now? Everyone has suspicions as to whether you've gone into an apartment with Miss Tammy or are you really in the RV. Nobody actually thinks you're living in the RV. We don't see you really cooking breakfast in the RV. We think that the alleged conspiracy theories, for one, which I don't say that I am someone who is a person who goes into conspiracy theories. But on this community, I guess the hater channels, there is thought that potentially Tim is not really living in the RV, and that these chats and the reason why we see everything happening outside of the RV is potentially maybe Tim is not wanting to keep the RV any further. So he's not trying to really have the smells and the cooking, because we just don't see Tim doing the stuff inside the RV. He just sits there crushing it for Christ. We see a made bed, and that's kind of all we get. And then him sitting outside with a shed. And it's very different from when he really was in the RV, when he was out in Laughlin, Nevada. We really saw him in the RV, doing stuff in the RV, talking more about things he did with the RV. And it's kind of different now, which is why I feel like Tim is potentially trying, and he doesn't want people to know, because he got into so much with the call, wanting to really get rid of that RV. I think that's why we don't see Tim, in my theory and opinion, in it so much. He's trying to keep it cleaner. I don't think he's living there. I think it's and I think he's keeping the truck and some things, because maybe he cannot keep these things, and maybe it's by something else. But it's a very odd setup with that shed. It's interesting.
I have the community, the support system, and the leadership now in the country, self-protection. I love my little shooter. I mean, everything is going good. What does that mean? Something could start coming as a trial. We learned that this morning on Crushing It for Christ. Don't ever forget the Lord. Don't ever get.
Tim, you're not a pastor. You have never been to any school of theology. You just are using that as in my opinion, tool of manipulation, and using it because often people who are reformed from substance users use religion often to keep them sober. But I think you use it because there are potentially more of the audience that you are capturing, and you notice that they love to talk about the Lord in the chat. So you just start throwing that out there, Tim, because I can promise you there's nothing that's been anything Christian about anything you do in that. Paying it forward more than I ever spent. Tim, you're paying it forward at a McDonald's, which probably is giving you points on your app. It's not a genuine thing that seems to be coming from your heart, Tim. It's just a way to get coffee donations, you hope, in my opinion.
Get too big for your britches, as my mom and dad used to tell me. And they'd straighten me out in a hurry. And that's another problem with young people today. They need a knot snatched in their tail. My two little granddaughters, every time I talk to them, they always say that.
And I understand those are actually your granddaughters. Those are the granddaughters of the late Dwayne Musselman and Ms. Tammy. So I think that's not really true. And I think that's not something that you should try to sell to your audience. It's again, Tim trying to create a narrative, painting himself as somebody who's this, great granddad, this likable, affable, religious guy. He works so hard. He has this great life. That YouTube and having got that one video that kicked off and those EIDL and PPP loans, Tim would be sitting in his tent still.
I taught them that. And they're always teasing me. And they know what it means too. But we like to joke. They got sayings. I taught them some sayings. And, my parents literally did it. My grandmother told me to go out and pick my own switch. We call it a switch. And she'd tear my...
Yeah, okay, Tim, that's nothing to brag about. My grandmother did the same, and that's actually something that I would deem as child and BUSE. So I wouldn't be sitting here thinking that's something that's going to make people better people. And I think the rhetoric of always saying that younger people are a problem. I think you're being a problem at the moment, Tim, to be honest.
She'd snatch a knot in my tail with that switch, but never for the same thing twice. And I probably only got a whooping a few times in my life.
Well, you got a whooping just in life, Tim, because you didn't manage to save anything or put anything away, and you were in a time of the most biggest economic boom in the United States, and you still managed to do as little as possible and save nothing. And yet, and you criticize people who have, and yet then you turn around and you covet and you envy the possessions of others. And then you put on this feigned minimalism act, and then you try to get people to send you money for really expensive clothing items that you're too cheap to spend the money on yourself. And then you be and moan more than anybody I know. Keep going.
But like I say, never for the same thing twice. And that's why you teach a child. Spare the rod, spoil the child, the Bible teaches. So that doesn't mean you...
Well, I don't know, Tim. You had, I think, a few children of which you could have actually potentially been a father to and parented, but you were, in my opinion, from what I understand, too lazy to actually do that. No, sir. What you decided to do instead was to work 8 to 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours a week, selling door-to-door oil change coupons, which I've had some really interesting comments in my comment section about the whole sort of business between oil change coupons, Tim. Yeah. And then you, I don't think you were anybody who provided health insurance for your children. It seemed like you were renting rooms. I mean, how dare you talk about any type of parenting and how anybody should parent their children, and then talking in ways that I, as somebody who does have a degree in education, who also is obviously studying to be a psychiatric mental health provider, nurse practitioner, and somebody writing obviously prescriptions, some of the things that can actually exacerbate or bring on people's schizophrenia and so forth is trauma from their childhood. So asking this to be a part of how you raise a child is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You're sitting here trying to act like you're, some sort of child expert, like Dr. Spock out here. Piaget. Do you even know who Jean-Claude Piaget is? Do you know Piaget and his works? Probably not. I think it's Jean-Claude. I know it's Piaget. Here I am trying to act like a... No, I know. But I did study a lot of pedagogy and child development. And obviously, I've studied psychology. And obviously, I study mental health disorders. And I can tell you that all the things that you were talking about, Tim, just not very beneficial to society at all, especially to children.
Using your hand, that doesn't mean child abuse. That doesn't mean leaving marks on a child.
No,
but correction
you know
is
what? You're not really supposed to use that language in YouTube. So I'm glad this one. I wish YouTube really would take more consideration of this individual and just the lack of trigger warnings that they use. And that is actually, I'm sorry, Tim. And beyond you, I actually have the education and the licensure to call these things. One, I am a court-mandated reporter. Secondly, I study mental health disorders and understand that those types of trauma-related and whipping children and so forth is nothing but something that leads to trauma in a child. You just you're I would not let my children anywhere near you if I had them. I wouldn't let my dog near you. Well, actually, I would, because I have a pit bull.
Animals do it when they're young. And how else do you think? What, taking their iPhone away, make them sit in their room for a minute, stand in the corner? That doesn't do anything. Teach them a little education. You remember in school, they used to tear our tails up, snatch a knot in our tail with a paddle? Yeah, we used to get whacks.
Well, Tim, what happened with you? Because Tim, I think that whatever happened in your childhood, I think is not something that needs to be discussed here, because there were certain things that happened in your childhood that enabled you, unfortunately, to have some really, what I have sort of look at, an adult having a very inappropriate relationship with a child. You were not protected from that. And so I just think that this is a very murky area that you should not be having a conversation around. I think some of your own traumas might be reflected in what you're talking about here. And I think it's very difficult then to, have you kind of continue with this rhetoric. I think this is something, again, you need to really talk to and address in therapy.
Paddlings in elementary school. You remember that? I think you had to have parental consent, but the parents all agreed. Yeah, if he steps out of line, tear his ass up.
No.
And all it did was hurt your feelings.
I don't think so. I can't say that but I think that's not the case necessarily, Tim. I think there's other ways that you can handle and manage children. I've had a lot of experience with children, Tim. Lot. And I would not listen to you for any type of child rearing advice.
And teach you a lesson. That's all it does. But how do we get on this topic?
And just if you want to know, it's advice, ADVICE.
Matter. We talk about everything on this channel, don't we? Listen, I've been reading the comments, and I try to answer as many as I can. I read them all. I told you that. I always read them all. Thank you very much. Report other channels.
One, I was about to say, Tim, you do read all of your comments, because then you delete the ones that you don't like. Now you're about to tell your subscribers to do something they shouldn't. So I'm going to go right back here and start you back from that statement and let you talk.
Report other channels if they come in your feed that are copying my videos or disparaging this channel. Report them. Report. There's 3 little dots you can hit, and just follow the very intuitive prompts to report and check the appropriate thing. I got 111,000 beautiful souls out there. Report these jerks.
I'm thinking I'm the jerk, aren't I, Tim? I'm the jerk, aren't I? Because you're very, irritated that I'm still here, taking your content and putting commentary on it, having a little bit of a laugh too. Some people, I say I'm mean on it. Well, whatever. I don't particularly think that Tim is a good character, and not somebody whose character I would want to promote to anybody. I do have concerns about his ingratiating himself with very older seniors here in the United States and what his end games might be, in my opinion.
They got no reason to say what they're saying, just like this media that did what they did to Donald Trump. They just make it up.
No, I'm not. There's documented evidence that you took those small business loans out, the EIDL loans. We have the loan number, Tim, and can pull the loans up if we need to, okay? You give terrible Social Security advice to people. There's many reasons why you're problematic. You can keep trying to, cult brainwash your audience into whatever, Tim. But people know that you're a compulsive liar.
And you know what it is? They're afraid of being exposed of who they are. And they were afraid, I'm talking about the media now and these other politicians in government, of losing the good old boy deal. They were, can you believe We've been duped and
see the entitlement from this gentleman is absolutely sorry. I was clicking something so I love my it was still filming. So yeah, Tim, you have a lot of entitlement, obviously. And Tim doesn't like to have his entitlement questioned at all.
Cheated and you know,
and Tim, you also have a really self-inflated sense of self and a sense of grandiosity, and you have a way of doing a false equivalency as well when you compare yourself to Donald Trump. He is, for whatever reason, he is the president of the United States. That's who the people voted for. And you have you're still unhappy. So you're not a happy person, and you don't like the fact that I sit here and criticize your behaviors on the internet, and don't particularly think that your, inflated sense of self out here really has much to offer. I think you're a danger to people with their retirement savings.
She's been running without a president and crooked politicians for the last 4 years, probably longer. And all these things that are going on that we're now finding out about. Donald Trump has now released the classified documents on JFK, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy assassinations. We're going to find out about that soon. It takes a while.
Yes, and we're going to find out that the Walking on the Moon was a staged event that was filmed at Universal Studios. I don't know what conspiracy theories you're going to get into here, Tim, but let's not. Really? Is this what your audience is signed up for? This ranting from the uncle you don't want to see at the Christmas dinner?
Well, just because he signed doesn't mean they tell us tonight. It takes a time. There's a lag effect. And of course, there's going to be pushback on it. But we're seeing transparency. We're seeing the golden age being developed before our eyes. We are.
Yeah, okay. We're just all going to about survive this, Tim, in your ranting. Continue.
Getting our rights back. We are the people. We're taking the power back that belongs to us. It's they work for us, not the other way around.
Oh, whatever, Tim. Yeah, because that's what every politician does, whatever side they're on. My channel is not political, but this political rant from Tim is just, I hope it's the thing that tanks his channel.
And so get excited, folks, because we're definitely crushing it.
Oh, goodness, you're not. Okay. All right. Gosh, I'm glad that one was ended over quickly, guys. Okay. So Tim actually out here trying to break YouTube. Well, he broke YouTube's terms of service. So, we'll see, Tim, what happens. Continue with this. YouTube will continue to push you down the algorithm. I'm glad that your Social Security videos are not getting any views at all. They don't deserve any views. I can't think that you could interpret any of the numbers that you looked at on anything. I didn't look at that. It's probably absolutely terrible. All right, guys. Didn't want this to be long. I've got to write a paper about substance use disorders. I think I might focus actually on alcohol. Maybe Tim needs to take some antabuse. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.